Welcome back to another episode of Recovery Unleashed. Today's episode is what I'm calling it is surely it can't all be good, and that comes from just something that from my own life, my own journey of recovery of something that people ask me like, is it all that good? And like the way I respond to that one is this like, is all what good? Like what there's many answers or meanings to that question. Like, I'm guessing what people are asking me, like, is anything bad happened? Is there any downsides of going into recovery? And it depends what way you're looking at. Like, I'm gonna share something, and I've mentioned it in another video, like something that I've only become that it has only become very apparent since getting sober. And I'm gonna share some of my flaws with you, and this is what you do. I have to be real. I have to be raw. I have to show you that I'm just a normal person that struggles. I have good days and bad days. One of the worst things for me is anxiety. And that was something. Now, anxiety may have always been there, but because I was able to drink and drug it away, I was never really that clued in with it or clicked in with it. But since getting sober, anxiety has been probably one of my biggest battles. So for 4 years, like, I'd go to my doctor about it and I'd talk about anxiety. And, the doctor was always saying to me, like, Alan, I'd like to give you something to take it. Now, obviously, no Valium or anything like that because I'm in recovery. I can't take any mind altering substance. You'll have to forgive me on that one. But I'm not allowed. I can't risk it if my brain decides that yes, I like that. I want more of it. I have an addictive behavior. I have an addictive nature. So anxiety, yeah. So for 4 years, I went to the doctor and I check in and we do things. Every time I go to the doctor, my blood pressure will always be a little bit high, and I'd say give it 5 minutes, and it'll be gone down. Because no matter where I went, I felt with anxiety. I just have this because I still didn't like being in my own skin. I'd lived out of my own skin for so long. I was always pretending to be someone else or pretending to be someone that I'm not. Like I got this thing in my head because I felt so low and insecure in myself, and that's really something that unless you're an addict, maybe you may or you may not understand. But like I literally had no self worth when I'd never tell anyone that, or I try not to show it. But in my deep down places and the places that I never want anyone to know the truth or to see is that I never really had any self worth. I never really had any belief in myself. I always kind of felt and I knew that there was a good person in there, but I wouldn't really like to speak about that. And again, it's just hit me as I'm saying this. Like, this is recovery. This is the fucking magic of recovery. Like, I'm sharing one of the things that I feel most insecure about here. And it's ego as well from addiction because I told myself for so long, you need to have the perfect life. You need to, this is what I don't want to let anyone see into the vulnerable me or the person that has weakness. So, anyways, back to the start of the story. So, for 4 years, I went to my doctor. And the last time I went and I said, look, it's particularly flared up again. Like some days is really bad. And the doctor said to me, Alan, I know you're sober and I know you're trying, but like, we can try something. It's okay. And eventually then I kind of went, yeah, okay, I'm willing to try something because it was becoming like an anchor on me. It was constantly holding me back. It was something that was weighing me down. But I didn't just jump in. This is something that recovery gave me that I never had. Drive and willingness to do stuff. I wasn't just gonna go, yes, I'll take the easiest option out. I'll try and work. But I said, yeah, okay, and I started taking an antidepressant. Yeah, weird saying that on social media again, but as I saying, like, weirdly, I feel comfortable saying that here because this isn't about me in any shape or form. I'm just another person who's trying to stay better, who got better, like the people who are trying to get better, and we're all just trying to stay better. It's weird. It's kind of like a quiet moment in here where I'm kind of at peace with myself. But yeah, but that was something. Now, I'm not saying, but let me be very clear on this. If you go to your doctor and you're struggling with something and you're in addiction and the doctor says it's okay for you to take it, well, then I suggest you do listen to a medical professional's opinion. You know, just for me at the time with anxiety, I really wanted to try and do it. But again, I had to let go of my ego and say, right, it's getting too much. But the whole reason I'm saying this is there any bad bits? Well, that was a bad bit for me. You know, and like I said, was it always there? I don't know. But I only really became aware of it when I started becoming aware of life in general again, when I wasn't living in my own world of madness, when I was actually being a contributing member of society. So that was probably for me is the main one that would stick out in my mind. Now, was there other things that I'd say all can't be good? Yes, there's little things. So like I love going to well, I used to love going to like, raves, I like dance music, I like going out to these things. I'm hoping to in May, after 5 years of recovery, that I might attempt to go to my first one. Sober and with sober people, obviously. I've been asked to go before, but I just haven't been comfortable enough to. That's something I'm okay with. But little things like that, there are some things that I would miss. Um, Another thing is I miss connections with people, even though, and this is just personal for me, connections like, when you're out with people and you're drunk and you're having fun and you just all kind of go to that same place of banter and having the laugh and the taking the mick and just, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I definitely miss that as well. But they're just normal things. And there's a difference. It's okay for me to miss these things. Just so we're clear on that. It's okay to miss these things. I am human. The only thing that separates me and another person who's able to do them is they don't suffer from the disease of addiction. These people can go to these things, have 6 or 8 points, enjoy their night, and go home and go to bed. They don't need to sit up for 3 days. They don't need to completely upend their life. But them things, like, they're not really very, you know, the anxiety one fair enough for me, but again, might have nothing got to do with addiction. But they're only the little things that I'd miss. But they're little things. And back to the original question, it all can't be good. Well, for me, yes, it is all that good. Because when I think back to my life, like Annie, there's certain moments that stick out for me in my life and what I used to do to myself. And trust me, for a long, long time, I was not having a good time. Longer, for how long I was using an inactive addiction, I can't remember when I was actually having fun. Like another thing I used to do, and I'll share another bit with me, and it shows me the progression of my addiction. So 8, 9, 10 years ago, I used to go to Ibiza on holidays with the lads. And the start holidays, yeah, they were a bit of fun. We did drink, we did take drugs, but it was all manageable. It was like a lot of young people do. They go on holidays to have fun, enjoy themselves, and that's fair enough. And that's what it was. But I think back to my last 3 years of addiction and going on holidays. I went to Ibiza to try and keep the image up that I was happy that everything was okay. Young people, yeah, they go to Ibiza, dance music, da da da. Da. For the last time I went, I remember the whole holiday. I basically lived inside my own head. I just had this dialogue while everyone was actually in the moment and enjoying stuff and things they were doing. I was just full of anxiety and I just talked to myself like, oh, I don't want to be. Everything was an effort. Oh, we're going out tonight. And I was like, oh, yeah, we're going out deadly. Can't wait. Brilliant. But in my head, I wasn't enjoying any of it because I wasn't doing it for fun anymore. It was for addiction, if that makes sense. Sometimes I remember I'd be taking my first drink or if I was going to take the first line. Like I remember sitting at times and going, I don't actually want to take this. And I didn't. Like I knew my anxiety levels were up and I was just, when you're hungover and you're trying to go drinking again and you're just not up for it. I remember looking at it. I was like, I don't want to take this. But the thing about addiction is I always took it. Like I sat in kitchens with lads at 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't want to be there. I wanted to go home, but I couldn't leave. Addiction is there. There's a saying: when you take the drink or drug first you take the drink or drug, then the drink or drug takes you, and that's what happens with me. So I make the choice. Yeah, this is only going to be a nice little session. I'm only going to have three or four, and I'll be home by two. And, and sometimes I suppose I did believe that, but once I took the drink or drug, all bets were off. Everything changed. The drink and drugs are now in control, and I went for as long as I could until my body couldn't go anymore. And then I got home, and the same process that I've talked about in other episodes. The reason I like kind of jumping between episodes is so you can relate to. Well, look, you mentioned that there, and here it is again. So after these sessions of that, I'd always going to have a few. I could be out for a day and a half, but I'm sitting in people's kitchens and ringing around to see who's still up, and it just, the more I look back on it, it was a very sad lifestyle, but it was my lifestyle, and I wasn't giving it up for anyone or anything. It was something I held on to. There was actually, mentioning my best friend again, there was something he said to me before, and like he was an affected family member, affected friend. But I remember one day he just got annoyed with me. He just got so fed up with me, and he goes, like, what the fuck is your problem, man? You don't do anything anymore. You literally go to this house, you go to work, and you go home. And you drink and you take coke and you drink and you go to work, you this, and you go home. And he goes, that's your fucking life, man. What are you doing? But I couldn't hear him. I was like, what are you on about? My life's grand. And I still, now only in recovery, can I still feel, even this is years ago, I can feel the frustration and anger in his voice that I couldn't hear what he was saying to me. But that's addiction. That's the power of addiction. You can't hear anything. You are so locked into what you want and what you're getting. And I didn't mind living this little life because the whole time I was drinking and taking cocaine. And that was good enough for me because I was feeding my habit. So the reason I'm sharing these stories in this episode is when you ask me, surely it all can't be good. Well, for my little bit of anxiety that I have to deal with, and maybe I do meditation, I do cold water therapy, I exercise, for these little things, the lack of connection that I think I may or may not be missing. Yeah, like they're fair enough, they're not exactly what I wanted, but is it anything compared to this life that I've left behind me? Sitting up on my in my own in my bedroom for days, or waiting for my partner to go out of the house so I could start drinking and using. It's so night and day. A million times ask me that question, I'll answer it the same a million times. Every day I'll take everything on this side of the table. But like I said in another episode, I have to be very careful because I'm only ever one bad decision, one bad choice from fucking everything I've worked so hard for now, from going from this side of the table of a little bit of anxiety, I kind of miss going out to some raves or concerts or things like that, to this absolute misery that's waiting on this side of the table here for me. So it's kind of up to you how you answer that question for yourself. I'm sure if you're really working recovery and you're putting in the effort, and I suppose when you realize, when you've actually put the work in to get from this side to this side, and you realize the absolute graft and the battle you have going against your mind, because when you are entering into addiction, everything is telling you to go back to this side of the table. Everything. Go, no, this is going to be too hard. What people think of me? It doesn't sound like it's any fun over there. Everything, every reason you ask your mind for will take you back to this side of the table. But because I've had to work and do all the suggested things, I'm now sitting at this side of the table. So, simple answer, there's no real bad things from getting sober. No, there's nothing bad from getting sober. Just on this side of the table, I have to deal with life's problems and life's things that everybody suffers from, not just addicts. This side of the table, I'm dealing with real life stuff. I'm a real life person, taking part in my life, living my life, and I have to deal with life obstacles as they come. And I don't have a drink or drug to turn to. I have to deal with my emotions. I have to face them. I have to let my feelings out. And then I have to check on other people. I have to care about other people as well. Whereas on this side of the table, I know what's there for me. There's absolute devastation, heartbreak, crying, not wanting to get out of bed, feeling miserable, hating myself. So I'll let you answer that question for yourself. But I do hope, and the whole reason that I am on this show is that I'm hoping that someone that's hearing this listens to what I has to say and one day gets to this side of the table and is able to ask themselves that question, because you'll know you've got there. You'll know you've put in the work in, and it's a nice feeling. So we're wrapping up this show again, and I have to ask people to do this. Please like, share, follow the posts, social media. I can put stuff out there, but I need engagement for it to actually go places. I'm not acting like I know what I'm talking about, because I really don't. This is just advice off other people. But the reason I'm making these videos, there could be something in one of these videos that a person somewhere needs to see. So if you can and you don't mind, just please give a like, share, follow, whatever they are. And as I always say at the end of every show, it's getting easier to say it. Always back yourself and unleash your own recovery. I'll catch you on the next episode.